9 p.m. on kxvs.org and thevoiceofstockton.org. Alrighty, next step, we're going to put out some, that Facebook stuff, yeah, that the bots like. Yeah. Hi, bots. Okay, we're going to go over here. Oh, that can just do a whole delete out. Bam. And let's go with the THE, the Saturday evening news. And then we go down and get rid of the previous billboard. Host, H-O, hostess with the mostess, Ricardo Slezak, Richard Slezak, yo, bringing you the Saturday evening news. All kinds of stuff going on, trying to get the good knowledge into your head. Alrighty-us. And let's see what else is up here on the computers. And intro 7-day forecast. And we can undo that in a hurry here. Last was yesterday. So we're going to update that a bit. And boom. www and dot astrology, nope, www weath weather dot, oh, they got weather.gov up here already. Bam, isn't that interesting? Because it's a regular thing we bring up. And boop. All right. Okay, way down San Diego, Imperial, and Riverside counties, we have a lovely mauve color indicating oh man, excessive heat warning. And then along the East Sierras from Alpine County up to Modoc County, got a nice tan color. Looks like wind advisory. Alrighty, that's about all that's gone on over California. Pretty quiet. Oh, off the coast from Monterey Bay up is small craft advisory. And we're going to head on to our local weather report. And, oh yeah, I can stand up a little taller. Stockton, comma, CA. And what do we got here? Bam. Let's see what we can get. Let's see what we can get. Oh, my golly, as of 8:55 p.m. That was 10 minutes ago. It was 80 degrees out at Stockton Airport. Conditions fair. Humidity at 35%. Wind is at 5 miles per hour out of the north-northwest. Barometer is at 29.86 inches of mercury. Dew point at 50 degrees. Visibility 10 miles. Heat index at 80. All righty. Let's go down the screen and see what mischief we can find. And here we go. Tonight, clear with a low looks to be a 64. Tomorrow hot with a high of 98. Tomorrow night looks like a low of 60, clear. Monday is going to be sunny with a high of 92. Monday night looks to be clear with a low of 52. Then Tuesday, sunny with a high of 88. Tuesday night, mostly clear with a low of 56. Wednesday, sunny with a high of 80. And Wednesday night, mostly clear with a low of 54. So, oh my, season of dry is here, so keep the drip irrigation going if you're growing a garden, folks. All righty-is. Let me go on to some other things here. Oh my golly, there's the audition. And we're looking at about 9:14 p.m. And let me go get some scratch paper. We're going to get started with the news momentarily. Heading in. All righty. Here we are. And going to start the show out with our sponsors, and let's get things going here. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Richard Slezak here. This is the Saturday evening news, and seems to have started a bit prematurely, but be that as it may, I hope this recording gets on. And so we're at 9:14 start, and again, this Saturday evening news, and let us get to our sponsors. You are Webtoon 2, the voice of Stockton.org. I'm your host, Richard Slezak, and we're going to cover propositions, and what a week it's been here in Stockton. We're just going to hit through the record. And KXVS, we're looking for sponsors. We're reaching out into the community. Here's among our favorite sponsors, Hotel Furniture Liquidators at 1648 North Shaw Road. Nearest cross street is East Fremont, east of 99. The Miracle Mile Bookstore and Doors Book Recyclery, just a few blocks from us at 2210 and 2310 Pacific Avenue, where you can buy books, where you can sell books, where you can pass books along. So give Feng Tu a call at 623-8653. For plastics, are you going to build something? Do you need displays? Yeah, they make them. Do you want graphics for your vehicles? Hey, they do it. T-shirts printed? Yep. Business cards printed? Yep. Raw plastic in terms of sheets, tubes, and rods. They got it. And they'll fabricate. And signage, hey, it's political season. Well, it's late in it. You know, this is for the fall now. Get your orders in for the fall. It's Custom Plastics and Signs at 326 East Dr. Martin Luther King Boulevard here in Stockton. And we got a wonderful town here, lots of great businesses, so let's shop them up. Millennium Computer Repair is one of those businesses. They're on the road for you. Give them a call, 922-1879. That's Millennium Computer Repair at 922-1879. They'll do spyware and virus removal, password redoing. They'll replace parts, Their replacement parts costs are low, and they'll do password removal. Again, that's Millennium Computer Repair in the 209-922-1879. Sarfraz Khan is the man you want to contact. Habitat for Humanity, 4933 West Lane. That's at the north. Everything on West Lane is north. And it's the Restore, where you can get building accoutrements, doors, windows, HVAC, electrical, paint, stuff comes in and out, lumber, the building siding, sheathing, you name it, you can get it at Habitat Furniture at Habitat for Humanity, 4933 West Lane, 100 yards south of March Lane. Tender Donuts, we bake fresh daily. That's Chanrith and Civ Sam. They're doing the thing at 1304 East Hammer Lane. They open up at 4:30 Mondays through Saturdays, and at 5:30 on Sundays. Yeah, get there at 5:30 in the morning. You're going to get some good donuts tomorrow morning. They're open till 6, 1304 East Hammer Lane. Leaders, T-shirt printings, and business cards, 500 East Lodi Avenue at Garfield in Lodi. All right. And we're looking at 919 here at the Voice of Stockton. And got my radio log KXVS. And today is June 2nd, 2018. So we're going to migrate on over to the big table. And I got plenty of cookies and cakes and a cup of water. And I'm grooving. I figure, heck, I work hard. You know, some people, I do a relaxed version of radio. So, you on to me. I'm a chow how. And gonna kind of, yeah, oh, that's a good angle right there. Yeah, all right, man. Woo! Gonna reach on down here. Got my cake and cookies, and you know, we got an election coming up this Tuesday, and you really need to vote. If you're registered, please vote, and you need to find your direct primary, and this is what you can learn all about the election with. Yeah, and we got the one of the most important things is that, you know, make sure you get your sample ballots. Now, I'm gonna go get mine, and I'll be right back. Right on, right on, right on. Boop, 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 boop. Got it, baby. Got it, got the sample ballot. And make sure you get yours and fill it out. And vote. You know? Heck, in my neighborhood, St. George's is my polling place, so you know where I'm at, right down there in Southside. Gubernador, Vice Gobernador, Secretario de Estado, Controller, Tesorero, Procurado General. Oh, guess what? Yeah, that's right, folks. That's the Spanish part. But Spanish has been spoken in these parts longer than English has, so that's why it's recognized as a language of doing government. And so for governor, we've been over this before, and well, it's kind of an opinion show. You got 4 good Democrats, and I'm voting for my favorite, Gavin. You only got one guy voting for who's in an elected office running for lieutenant governor. That's Ed Hernandez. I'm for him. Alex Padilla, he's got the endorsement of the Democratic Party. Betty T. Yee. And speaking of a Betty, there's our Betty. Fiona Ma's endorsed by the Democratic Party. And now, you know, it's really kind of torn between Dave Jones and Xaviera. Ricardo Lara, he's endorsed by the Democratic Party. But Abif Mahmoud, he's a good Democrat, I don't dispute it. Ricardo is in elected office. And Tom Hallinan, he's in an elected office. He's a college trustee. He's running for a Board of Equalization. And he's the only Democrat running for board. The other 3 are Republicans, and none of them are in elected office. So Betty looks like she's just passing through for some things. Hi, Betty.
Hi, Richard.
I'm enjoying doing the show and throwing things together. Got an election coming up Tuesday.
That's right, the 5th.
Yeah, I want everybody voting.
I already voted in the mail.
All right, thank you. Okay, so you know to go vote, people. You know, that's, get your, I'm going to hold it up again. I talked about my sample ballot. Get your sample ballot out and make doggone sure, you know, fill the thing out. You know what you're going to vote for before you go in, and fill the actual ballot out when you go in and vote. All righty. The candidate statements are rather bizarre things. First, we're going to make sure about the propositions. And I want, you need to know the law. No joke about it. I know it's mundane, but the Prop 68 is pretty basic stuff. Authorizes bonds, funding, parks, natural resource protection, climate adaptation, water quality supply, and flood protection. I don't know what's wrong. What the fuck? Now we got a show. I apologize. I forgot to turn the mics on over here, and have had about 10 minutes of show without the mics. So, anyways, Prop 68 is basically a bond measures, and we have been over it, and now the people for it, again, Kevin De Leon, Michael Ong, who's the American Lung Association in California, he's a doctor, an MD, those are the people who wrote the argument in favor of Prop 68. And Dan Howells Scarfroth, California State Director, Clean Water Action. And it's kind of round up the usual suspects. The Democratic Party is, again, favoring it. Now, rebuttal to argument in favor of Prop 68. Can we share a rather sad fact with you? California has the largest unrestricted net deficit of all the 50 states in the nation. Here are the rankings of the 11 worst managed states and their unrestricted net deficits for the year ending 2016. California's June 30th, 2017. Audited financial statements were not completed before the preparation of the report in mid-February. Well, California's is at $169 billion. Well, wait a minute. Illinois is only at $150 billion. New Jersey at $137 billion. Massachusetts at $59 billion. Connecticut at $51 billion. New York at $41 billion. Kentucky at $38 billion. Maryland at $26 billion, Texas at $20 billion, Pennsylvania at $19 billion, Louisiana at $12 billion. Well, look at the size of the economy and the general revenues coming into the state, so it's nothing to worry about. But I'm not saying that. What's stated here, do you really want to add to the debt burden of this state? Do you know that the annual payments for principal and interest on this bond will squeeze out other services that Sacramento should be providing, like helping the homeless and assisting the mentally ill? When will Sacramento's legislature realize that we have poor infrastructure because it has not been a good steward of its financial resources? Debt is an indication of improper spending habits and inappropriate financial decisions. Well, not necessarily so. As a ratio of revenue to the debt, as a ratio of state gross economy to the debt, oh, we're in pretty good shape. Nothing to worry about. And so, continuing on Prop 68, I do want to share with you, I'm trying to find it, where it is in law. Now, that might be on the website, because they used to be in the books themselves. And we are gonna share that with you. Well, it doesn't look to be the case. So anyways, that's Prop 68. Prop 69 requires that certain new transportation revenues be used for transportation purposes. Legislative constitutional amendment. Again, that passed 28-10 in the Senate and 56-24 in the State Assembly. Senate Bill 1 will raise $5 billion annually when all its taxes and fees, these are restrictions on revenues portion on page 14, taxes and fees are in effect. Figure 1 shows the annual revenues raised from each tax and fee, as well as whether existing provisions of the state constitution restrict them from transportation purposes. We're going to do a little engineer check here, and we seem to have, okay, good, and check the Okay, we seem to be doing fine up there on the Facebook and on the YouTube, as well as on the edition, although from 5 minutes to 12 minutes I did not have full speaker service, or rather full microphones. And I apologize for that. It's a bad show. So yeah, that was 9:19 to 9:27. Low sound. Mics not on. Covering props 68 among others. Continuing. Okay, now this does require that revenues generated by a 2017 transportation funding law through a certain vehicle license fee and diesel sales tax be used only for transportation purposes, including public transportation. Generally prohibits the legislature from diverting these funds to other purposes. Prohibits revenue from new vehicle license fees from being used to repay general obligation bond debt. Exempts new revenue from state and local spending limits. The summary of legislative analysis. Analysts' estimate of net state and local government fiscal impact. No direct effect on the amount of state and local revenues or costs, as the measure does not change the existing tax and fee rates. Measure could affect how some monies are spent by ensuring that revenues from recently enacted taxes and fees continue to be spent on transportation purposes. The measure would put the state a little further below its constitutional spending limit. We went over this in previous weeks, and continuing, it's those who are for it: Warren Stanley, Commissioner, California Highway Patrol; Helen Hutchison, President, League of Women Voters of California; Alan Zaremberg, President, California Chamber of Commerce; Gary Passmore, Congress of California Seniors, he's the president of that; the president of the California Business Roundtable, Robert C. Lapsley; and president of the California State Conference, NAACP, Alice Huffman, are for it. That is, they wrote the argument in favor of Proposition 69 and rebuttal to argument against Prop 69. Those against it are Assemblyman Frank Bigelow, 5th Assembly District; Senator John Morlock, 37th Senate District. And that was Prop 69. And how we doing here? We're going to do a little engineering and time check. Don't want to get off kilter like I did a few minutes ago. We got 9:36 here at the Voice of Stockton. Continuing to march, Prop 70, not one. It's choose to be for it if you care to. It creates a the proposal creates temporary higher legislative vote requirement for spending cap and trade revenue. This measure requires that beginning on January 1st, 2024, so it doesn't go in effect for 6 years, cap and trade revenue be deposited in a new state fund called the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Reserve Fund rather than in the GGRF. Wait a minute, that's, whoa. Greenhouse Gas Reserve Fund. I'm a little confused. These deposits would continue until the effective date of the bill that 1. Spends money from the reserve fund, and 2. Is passed by each house of the legislature with a 2/3 vote, as opposed to the majority vote currently required. The measure also requires that money in the reserve fund be used to fund the same general types of programs that could be funded by the GGRF on January 1st, 2024. After the effective date of the bill, future revenue would go back to being deposited in the Greenhouse Gas Reduction or the Greenhouse Gas Reserve Fund, and could be spent by a majority vote of the legislature. This suspends manufacturing exemption until cap and trade revenue is spent. This measure suspends the manufacturing exemption beginning on January 1st, 2024. While the exemption is suspended, the full sales tax would be charged when businesses buy certain equipment for such things as manufacturing and research and development. The suspension would continue until the effective date of a bill that 1. Spends money from the reserve fund, and 2. Is passed with a 2/3 legislative vote. This sounds a bit strange. Now, we could go into fiscal effects. Let's get to background. A program, states cap and trade program aimed at limiting greenhouse gases. Programs created to reduce the amount of greenhouse gases that are emitted, such as carbon dioxide, contribute to global climate change, come from various sources, including gasoline-powered cars and industrial activities. One California program to reduce greenhouse gases is referred to as cap and trade. Under this program, which began in 2012, the state issues a limited number of permits to emit greenhouse gases. Certain companies responsible for large amounts of greenhouse gas emissions must obtain a permit for each ton of greenhouse gases they emit. The state gives about half of the permits away to certain industries for free and sells the other half at auctions. A recent state law allows cap and trade to operate in California through 2030. Now, revenue collected, used for a variety of programs, the cap and trade auctions, is deposited into a state fund called the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund. The state determines how to spend money in the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund, usually through the annual budget process. The money in the fund is generally used for state and local programs to reduce greenhouse gases. It is estimated, the legislative analyst estimates the state will spend about $3 billion from the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund on various programs in 2017 and 2018, which is half done already. The state can spend money from the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund with a bill passed with majority votes in both houses of the legislature. Some business equipment exempt from state sales tax. The state and local governments charge a sales tax on retail sales of most goods. Revenue from part of the sales tax goes to the state's main operating account. This part of the sales tax is not charged when some businesses buy certain equipment and used for such things as manufacturing and research and development. We estimate that this manufacturing exemption currently reduces state sales tax revenue by about $250 million annually. The exemption is authorized until July 1st, 2030. Now again, written into 70 are two things. The small business equipment exemption from state sales tax, it would suspend it starting 2024. And the cap and trade revenue, the reserve fund of greenhouse gas reduction, for how to spend the money would require a 2/3 majority. Those are the changes this proposition is proposing. And so I know my party's against it. We're the Democrats. But I'm not sure what other parties are standing on it. So, here are those in favor. Edmund G. Brown, our governor. Alan Zarenberg, president of the California Chamber of Commerce. Chad Mayes, California State Assembly member. Michael D. Shrout, President, California State Firefighters Association, and Anja Raudabaugh, Chief Executive Officer, Western United Dairymen. Those opposed, that is, who wrote the arguments for and against. Tom Steyer, President, Next Gen California. Rebecca Saltzman, Interim Executive Director, California League of Conservation Voters. Dr. Joseph P. Liu, President, Coalition for Clean Air. Senator Ben Allen, 26th District. Assembly Member Todd Gloria, 78th District. Helen L. Hutchison, President, League of Women Voters of California. Wow. So there's differences. Not exactly a party line. So you take it into consideration. That was Prop 70. And what time we getting to have here? Looks like to be 9:45. And we were on Prop 69. Going over them, giving a second look. And now Prop 71 is sets an effective date for ballot measures, legislative constitutional amendment. And this thing seems to, it passed the Senate 40-0 and the Assembly 78-0. And there's an argument against Prop 71 by Gary Wesley. There's a rebuttal to the argument in favor of Prop 71 by Gary Wesley. The argument in favor of Prop 71 is written by Kevin Mullen, Speaker pro tempore of the California State Assembly, Ralph D. Schaefer, Professor Emeritus, Cal Poly Pomona, Helen Hutchison, President of the League of Women Voters of California. So let's just see what Gary says here. The current language of the state constitution makes a ballot measure approved by the voters take effect unless the measure otherwise provides the day after the election. Because the measure cannot chronologically take effect until the result of the vote has been determined and certified, the phrase "the day after the election" means only that the measure which passes may be retroactive to that earlier date. The case cited by the proponents, the voters' 2016 decision on referendum to uphold the legislature's ban on single-use plastic bags, took effect when the outcome of the election was certified. The earlier date did not matter, but sometimes an earlier A retroactive date can matter. For example, suppose there were an initiative on the June 5th, 2018 ballot which proposed that serial child molesters, let's get scared, had to be sentenced by judges to life in prison without the possibility of parole. If Prop 71 were to pass, the new life in prison law in the above hypothetical could not take effect until the final vote certification, giving child molesters time, up to 38 days currently, to attack more victims until the sentencing laws voters had seen fit to change. Prop 71 appears to be unnecessary and disadvantageous in some situations. Usually the child molesters are locked up. They're usually pretty well locked up. Nothing to get worried about, Gary. God. Clarity. The law, the more clear the law is, the better. So that's what Prop 71's trying to get at. Prop 72 permits legislature to exclude newly constructed rain capture systems from property tax reassessment requirement. Legislative constitutional amendment. This passed the Senate 39-0 and the Assembly 76-0. Feel free to vote yes on it. I think it's a pretty popular idea. As a matter of fact, it's so popular, no argument against Proposition 72 was submitted. All rightiest. All right. Now it's 9:50, and we're going to go to the record. And look back. Boom. Let's see, how far back did Josephine go? To last Sunday. And we're just going to take a look at the A sections and hit up on them. And here in Stockton, schools helping language culture survive and our diversity. And there's a Vietnamese language school, community-based nonprofit, helps Vietnamese children learn and keep their language, tradition, and culture. And Van Lang, which is held at Park Lane Elementary School, 8405 Tam O'Shanter Drive, was born out of a desire for families to help their grandchildren and children learn and retain Vietnamese. And that's Lodi School District. It's working on that one. And the new rail authority, a new $750,000 state grant will help fund planning for an ACE and BART connection that will eventually connect Stockton and other valley cities to BART. The first phase calls for building a new rail from River Island's Tracy Mountain House in Livermore to connect with a BART terminus. The later phases would include stops at Lathrop, Manteca, and Stockton. The new route, which would run along former transcontinental right-of-way would provide Stockton and Livermore residents with a direct connection to BART. I wonder if they're talking about the old Southern Pacific line, which is for the most part dormant up there. The right-of-way is dormant. The authority was established in 2017 when California Governor Jerry Brown signed a bill to plan and deliver an Ace-BART connection, which would provide an alternative to driving along I-580. Segment from West Tracy to the Dublin Pleasanton BART station is expected to cost about $400 million. According to Tri-Valley San Joaquin Valley Regional Rail Authority website. On July 1st, they will receive at least $135 million in funds already dedicated to the extension, and they'll be eligible for another $400 million. Excuse me, I got, and this is the Sunday, 5/27. The continuing and criming here in Stockton. 8 days ago, up in on Boo Lane, a fellow arrived to victims arranged to meet a man there about 7:45 8 nights ago. When the man arrived, woo! Continuing. When the man arrived, he pulled out a gun and robbed one of the victims. He and another person were seen leaving the area in a white sport utility vehicle. Robber was a white man in his 20s, 5'9", thin build, and the other was similar Hispanic man. On North Grant Street in the 600 block, also 8 nights ago, a man was standing outside his home when he was attacked by a guy wielding a stun gun. Well, no. A lady. The woman used the stun gun on the man's arm and face, then threatened the victim's wife. The victim declined medical treatment. And continuing, assault with a deadly weapon. 4 men shot at a vehicle driving about 2:32. This is about 7.5 days ago on West March Lane at Pershing. It's at 2:30 in the morning. Victims were not injured. Vehicle was hit several times. Shooters were driving a black sport utility vehicle. Oh, great. Yeah. When I get the sneezies, oh man, I'll be right back in. Holy crap. Oh, fantastic. It's perfect. Pardon me, people, but I had to go all the way to the bathroom to grab an old-fashioned towel. Oh, that's good. I'll lose the jack. And might even go in. Getting close to 10 o'clock here. And, oh, here's a robbery. Here's a fun one. Man stole a cash register drawer from a store about, now this is 7 nights ago. 7.5 days ago, last Saturday. 4500 block of Pershing Avenue. Armed robber entered the business and demanded the clerk hand over the register drawer. It was a black man, 25 to 30, 5'7", 190 pounds, wearing a cream-colored mask. Oh, here's a guy, a robber used a hammer to attack a 46-year-old riding his bicycle about 11 a.m., and this is last Saturday near San Joaquin and Park Streets. I've ridden through there hundreds of times. The attacker walked in front of the victim, hey man, and hit him with the hammer before stealing his bicycle and the attached trailer. The robber was seen southbound on San Joaquin Street. The victim was taken to the hospital. Such love between neighbors here in Stockton. Continuing, approaching the top of the hour, and here's one. Well, I'm going to try to stay close to the stories right here in town, looking back last week. And we got a goodly number of people who passed away. Yvonne Lucetti, Evelyn Louise Egan, Evelyn Gannon, Joseph Franco, Stanley Green, Barbara Breckenridge Robertson, oh, she's a year younger than me, Ernest George, James Partridge, Kenneth Beecham, Lorraine Mastro, Margaret Wilson, and Edwina Richardson. Yeah, most of them were older than I. I was born in 55. House hopefuls draw on Trump's refusal to reveal tax returns. Those sound like Democrats, and that's from up in Seattle. We have 10 p.m. here at the Voice of Stockton. We're looking at the past week here in Stockton. I'm Richard Slezak. I'm your host, and this is the Saturday Evening News. And we're just utilizing the Stockton record and looking for some of their Pulitzer winner is to speak in Stockton. That's Derek Moore. Nicole Nguyen, Colmore Clinic in Falls Church, Virginia. That's another article on Vietnamese people. And checking out the people and culture. And now widow's loving boyfriend is also incorrigible flirt. Oh no. Alrighty. Well, that not much in last Sunday's. Let's go on to Monday. investing their time. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation came to Stockton, and Northern California grant makers said the so-called Stockton reinvention tour was beginning Friday, and there's a article here in Phelps and Airport Way, and it was again Emily Katz. They came through, and they're being supportive of Stockton. They stopped in some places, and it's a Democratic. Gavin Newsom came a few weeks ago and went over to the CSU. This is this past week. Final push towards Tuesday's Democratic primary. Bus ride 8 days ago. Ended up at a custom furniture designer and builder's studio in Stockton. And Gavin did not pledge to stop the $17 billion California water fix, which would re-engineer the Delta. He did say the project in its current form would not be feasible. He says he doesn't think there needs to be 2 tunnels. A plan with co-equal goals to address problems of the state's water supply, making sure that commonality is found through a more modest solution, is what is needed to solve the problem. He does support bringing a California State University to Stockton. There'd be nothing more significant than getting a CSU to Stockton. And continuing, we're looking in today's paper. So that was, Gavin was here yesterday. I haven't been on the ball at all. Well, passing it along. Parks and Politics, article in here on Props 68 and 70. South Stockton gets a $12 million grant to help youth. A branch of California Governor Jerry Brown's office has awarded 2 grants to the city, one for $12 million. That will be used over the next 6 years, that's $2 million per year, to support cradle to college services for young people in South Stockton. In addition to the $12 million, California Volunteers has awarded the city a $75,000 grant to plan over the next 6 months how it will spend the larger grant. Baker said the $12 million will pay for 100 AmeriCorps workers a year for 6 years. AmeriCorps is a federally funded program that provides support to communities with critical needs, and those, of course, could be local hires. And we're looking at about 10:06 here at the Voice of Stockton. We know we wanted to go with high-need community, said Karen Baker of California Volunteers. That certainly is Stockton. Okay, Victory Outreach takes message of hope to the street. Code Red is an annual Victory Outreach event, and they members stop by a truck stop and various motels from about 9 p.m. Thursday to 2 a.m. Friday. That's just a few days ago. They also walked along Wilson Way, Navy Drive, and some of the roughest streets in Stockton, approaching all who needed hope. And and some individuals were standoffish. About 90% of the people were open to talking about their situation. It's amazing how many people are open to change. Group's goal during Code Red is not to endanger women who are in the sex trade, but to inform them there is help. And that's according to Mr. Velasquez. Group also handed out drawstring bags that had toiletries, gift cards for food, and a Bible. Mission of Code Red is focused on sex workers. The group talks and listens to anyone who needs help. 4 people were helped this year, including a homeless woman who agreed to go to Victory Outreach's treatment home in Modesto to get sober. Victory Outreach's mission, since it was established in the 1960s. I'll be catching up on that here momentarily. Was to reach out to inner cities to help people who are struggling and have lost hope. And continuing. Now, here's an, continuing with local, with a strong look at the local news. Looking at, happened to grab today's paper and be grabbing some others as well. So, yikes. Okay, well. The members of the community organization dedicated to preserving Swenson Park Golf Course said last week that the City of Stockton efforts to save the site are subpar. The golf course currently is operated by Kemper Sports Group. The requests for proposals to seek out new private operators will take control of the 214-acre golf course. The park remains a golf course, the mayor says, and that any kind of housing is restricted from the property. Blair Hake, president of Friends in Swenson, says it's a first step. Doesn't guarantee the city council will not try and sell the property again in the future. Now we have there's more about a district. The mayor said the city should look to Sacramento County as a model for establishing a district, noting that there are about 20 parks and recreation districts in the capital surrounding communities. Well, I don't think that's a solution. Oh my. Elmo Alexander has a model of a B-29. He served in them apparently. And looks like we got about 10-13. And what we got going. A 4-year-old was killed in a crash west of Linden. Head-on collision. Child was restrained in a child safety seat in the back of a Toyota, but the impact was so severe it proved too much for the child. The second child, similarly restrained, the Toyota did not suffer any injury. Collision occurred about 11:15 a.m. on a straight stretch of Highway 26 between Murray and Jacktone Roads. The silver Toyota was traveling eastbound on the two-lane highway when a gold Cadillac heading westbound veered into the eastbound lane. Crunchy, owie. Now, the San Joaquin Homelessness Task Force on Thursday, that was back 28th, 26th, 24th, reviewed the first draft of a charter that would permanently establish a new department and allow organizations in the county that provide service to the homeless to collaborate more easily. Now, the task force has already helped various government and nonprofit organizations throughout the county work together to address the issue of homelessness for the past 2 years in a system known as San Joaquin Continuum of Care for Homelessness, according to County Supervisor Kathy Miller. The charter would create a board of directors and official membership body for the Continuum of Care, establishing it as an official department of the county government and therefore becoming eligible for more state and federal grants. And the Continuum of Care is recognized as an official entity and that is going to provide these services. As the desire of the county, Supervisor Miller said, "I'm really excited. This is something I've wanted to make happen for some time. The Continuum of Care would be able to more easily facilitate cooperation by organizations and help them secure funding." Alrighty, folks. Well, it looks like it's about a show ending. Let me check our clock. We're not supposed to go very late. Yeah, oh boy, junk food. It's been a wonderful junk food evening. And let me check the audition here. Come on, audition. Okay, 55. Yeah, we're right there into 60. So, thanks for being with us this evening. Kind of a sloppy show, I'll admit. But we went back through the propositions. And for further clarity, we have an election on Tuesday. Remember to vote. If you want to vote early, you can only do it at the registrar, and that's 8 to 5 on Monday. If you know of any campaigns, get involved with them tomorrow. Tomorrow's about the last day you can go out and campaign. Thanks for listening in and watching. And, do vote and do love. It's a whole lot better than not voting and not loving. And so have a good week, and I'll be with you later. And we'll be a bit more organized when we pull off the next show. So we're going to have a good evening, folks, those of you who have been listening to this pre-recorded show. 3, 2, 1. All righty. And we're just going to get to some regular programming here. And I'm going to get us off of the XSplit, off the Facebook and YouTube. Thanks for watching, folks. This has been the Saturday Evening News. We did propositions and local things going on here in Stockton. And let me show